guests, delegates, and everyone present here. I, Sanjana Garimella,
I, Tejaswini Bojappa,
students of MBA, Hospital and Healthcare Management from Symbiosis Institute of Life Sciences, on behalf of Faculty of Health Sciences, SIU, welcome each one of you for the SYMHEALTH 2022, National Conference on Transforming Healthcare, symbolizing with allied healthcare professionals. Startups are revolutionizing the delivery of healthcare in India. The increased demand for improved care, combined with technological advancements, has assisted the formation of startups in the Indian healthcare sector. New innovations have been introduced, with the main focus on increasing and enhancing the connectivity between the doctors and the patients. Through this session, we would like to understand how our country would be able to explore the conducive ecosystem to emerge as a hub of startups. The topic for this session is Advantage India, Emergence of Healthcare Startups. I'm privileged to introduce Ms. Namita Thapar, ma'am, the Executive Director of MCure Pharmaceuticals. Ma'am is also the founder of Young Entrepreneur Academy, a franchise of Incredible Ventures Limited. She has received numerous major business honors, such as the Economic Times 40 Under 40 Award, Barclays Hurun Next Generation Leader Recognition, Economic Times 2017 Women Ahead List, World Women Leadership Congress Super Achiever Award. Ma'am is an MBA graduate from Fuqua School of Business and is a chartered accountant graduated from the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. Ma'am, we are very honored to have you here today.
I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the next speaker, Mr. Ajit Nagral, co-founder, CEO, and chairman of Cytara Corporation, USA. Sir is a former executive chairman at Cyformix Corporation. Sir is a serial entrepreneur who has built multiple companies in the life science and technology domain, such as Megaware, New Genesis Technologies, Cyformix Corporation, and Cytara Corporation. He is a charter member of the Indus Entrepreneurs, TIE, and served on the board of trustees of TIE Mumbai. Sir holds a master's degree in computer engineering from Northeastern University. Sir holds several technology patents. He is an active investor and advisor to several startups. We welcome you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Vishwas Mahajan, founder of Visible.com. Sir is a coordinator of NASSCOM, that is the National Association of Software and Service Companies Forum, and is also a former member of Global Board of Trustees TIE, Pune, and former trustees of TIE Global Board. He holds a master's degree in business administration from Symbiosis Institute of Management, Pune. Sir is passionate about helping entrepreneurs and facilitating leadership in the organization. We are honored to have you here, sir. Now, I would like to welcome the anchor for the session, Professor Yogesh Brahmankar, CEO at Symbiosis Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. We would request Sir to please proceed the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Was lunch so good? So, 3 to 4 years back, sitting on the other side, I used to wonder many times, how do you select a panel moderator? And I understood 2 weeks back when you have Namita ji, Ajit, and Vishwas sir as panelists. So you have to have an odd man out as a panel moderator. I'm a mechanical engineer. Okay. My relationship with healthcare is that my wife is doctor. That's the only relationship. Yeah. So starting with, see, 3 things happened in last 2 years, which all of us know. Yeah. I'm sure all of you started thinking, though it is post-lunch. One, everyone knows the pandemic, and a lot of things happened in healthcare. COVID taught us a lot of things, brought a lot of things on the table. Second is, India became a startup hub. Yeah, you might have seen that 42 unicorns and many more, and most importantly, when Namita ji is here, we should say Shark Tank happened in India. Yeah. And the third is, people did a lot of things which they never did when they were asked to work from home or they were forced to be at home, people tried finding out actual something within themselves. Okay, a creative human being maybe, or doctors worked on, okay, I can make something also at home. Yeah, something creative like that. And I would like to start this panel discussion on this note that on the background of these three things, like if you understand, like I'm an engineer heading an incubation center, I have limitations. So the panel discussions normally, this kind of panel discussion would normally focus on connecting these three dots, healthcare, innovation startups, and can I be part of that ecosystem? As I see a lot of youngsters, a lot of students also along with the professionals here. Yeah, how can I be part of it? Can I do it? Because it's more of, I'll say not more than willingness, it's more of a, what you can say, dream or visioning it, envisioning it. So on this note, I'd like to start, maybe before we go ahead with the panel discussion, if all the panelists here, if you introduce about your work and something unique in last 2 years you pursued, starting with Namita ji, if you can talk about your work and something specific in last 2 years.
I think something specific is the easy part, Shark Tank, right? But essentially, MCure is a pretty global company. We're in 70 countries. And 45% of our sales, we're about a 7,000 crore company right now, 45% of our sales comes from the India business. And that's a business that I run, which is over 6,000 medical representatives, going to over 2 lakh doctors pan-India, and we're present in every therapeutic area. So COVID has changed a lot of things for us in terms of the way we think about technology, the way we think about what the next wave of disruption is going to be, and more importantly, how we're going to address the biggest issue in India, which is access and affordability. Because the fact remains that if you look at any metric, whether it is doctor to patient ratio, hospital bed to patient ratio, we're far behind. Even our medical spend as a percent of our GDP, 2% versus 19% in the US. A lot of these statistics have to change. You look at our 99 unicorns, only 2 unicorns, Farm Easy and Pristine, come from the healthcare sector. So technology is going to play a big role in the next few years in disruption, and that's where all of you have a big role to play. So as the ones who are going to be part of the future ecosystem, really understand the healthcare sector and really understanding which are the facets of healthcare where technology can not only disrupt, but solve India's inherent issues of access and affordability is what I would be very excited to hear from this group. Thank you.
Thank you, Namita. So one of the questions you asked is what has happened? So I've been at the intersection of science and technology my entire career. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. And a lot of people used to ask me, why science and technology and no more, right? Recently, people are saying after the pandemic, you are in a good place. And I always say, we have always been in a good place. The pharma, biotech, healthcare space has great opportunities for innovation, has great opportunities for building meaningful, large-scale startups. Everybody is now talking about it, everybody is now thinking about it, but there have been very successful big technology companies in the pharma and healthcare space, not as many as in India, and that's where the opportunity exists. Let me talk a little bit about the 2 or 3 opportunities I think that I hear and now and for the next 5 years. The first one is digital transformation. Just like other verticals have gone through digital transformation, the pharma, biotech, and healthcare space is going through it. A recent Gartner report says 70%, by 2025, 70% of this industry is going to be digitally transformed. Whether it's labs being digitally transformed, that's where we play in my current company called Saitara. We essentially have a cloud-based platform that connects the world's scientists, instruments, devices, applications across the globe. So we have large customers, like Pfizer and J&J and others who rely on us to help them accelerate science. It's a big opportunity. The other big opportunity is tools. AI tools, analytics tools, tools that essentially help scientists do their science. The good news with this industry is it requires domain experience. Now, as a new entrepreneur, you would think that's a barrier to entry. The converse is also true. Once you enter this field and you are there, the sort of the threshold for exit is also very high because the entire business is very sticky. It's a business where you have to combine technology, domain experience. We hire scientists, we hire medical doctors, we hire technology people, we hire statisticians, so on and so forth. And then the third aspect I want to talk about is the biotech revolution. And why is that? If you look at the pharma industry by and large, has been dominated by big companies, right? But that has changed. You know, biotech is to pharma and healthcare what technology has been to enterprise. There are tens of thousands of biotech companies across the globe that with a handful of people, 100 people, 200 people. So you talk about unicorns, just go check biotech companies, you will know how many unicorns there are in the biotechnology industry. It's mind-boggling. The pharma and healthcare space is a $1 trillion opportunity which most people don't know about. Many people ask me, oh, you are in a niche. I always say that if you consider $1 trillion a niche, I'll gladly say I'm in a niche industry. So these are the three areas I think that I would highly encourage people to look at. At Symbiosis, you have that great opportunity because much of the work we do is interdisciplinary. And much of how Symbiosis is structured is interdisciplinary. It's a great opportunity for many of you to sort of think through that. That was my opening.
Yeah, Vishwas, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, that was flip of a switch. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, everyone awake? Yeah, it's really nice to be back in Symbiosis. This is where I studied, and this is my alma mater. So not this institute, of course. We were much smaller then, but nice to be back. Well, I am not a pharma person. I am not a biotech person. I am an enterprise software, company, founder of a software company, and more than once. But the point is that after my first exit, I have tried to focus on fostering entrepreneurship through organizations such as TIE and MCCIA of late and others. And one of the things that we've tried to see is how we could replicate what Ajit and folks have done in Boston and make Pune as a Boston of East, whatever you like to call it. Actually, we do have all the ingredients, and I'll talk about it as we unfold some of the conversations and what we've been doing. But basically, that's also the vision. I'm really happy to know that when we had this conversation with Dr. Rajiv Yerodekar like 2-3 years ago, that was exactly the kind of vision that we kind of converged on. And as you can see in this campus, you have the confluence of technology, medical science, bioscience, and management skills all together. And that's really what a good incubation environment should be of. So I'll stop at that, and I'll let Yogesh, ask, and we'll dance according to what he wants us to do.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm sure, with the kind of work Vishwas sir had been doing in Pune through Thai Global, I think we can actually envision Pune to become Boston. And having Symbiosis kind of setup where on this side of road you have Arogya Dham, and on that side of road you have engineering college and technology. So I think we can definitely do that.
Isn't there like a tunnel?
That is what is leadership is actually thinking of.
Oh, that is what
Yeah.
we talked about actually.
Yes. So that is what is leadership is thinking of. So maybe 2 years down the line when we come, I think we will have a tunnel. So moving ahead, my first question to Namitaji is that, so as layman or normally the public is aware about that COVID and then India did pretty well in vaccination. Yeah. And everyone is aware that there are Indian companies which are involved and we are at good position and all that. But moving ahead, so COVID maybe is for time being. So do you think that there are more opportunities for Indian companies in research and development and innovation, especially in chronic diseases, which our Asian countries have been facing since long time? And is this also giving direction to new opportunities in business to business sectors where healthcare professionals, innovators and companies come together and practice something like open innovations? So what are your views on this?
This itself is a very broad topic, but I'll try to keep it very concise. So first and foremost, definitely there's a big role that India can play in innovation. I'll give a couple of quick examples. So MQ has been first to market in a lot of innovative chronic disease medication. So for example, by the time a patient gets a heart attack, till they reach the hospital, you could lose a lot of time. And so we have this very innovative bolus. It's just literally a 30-second bolus that dissolves a clot, and especially in the interiors of India, where it takes time, we call it hub and spoke model, where it takes time for people from tier 2, tier 3 to go to a metro hospital. It's very quick to give this bolus to at least save lives. We've given that at 10% of the cost of the innovator in the US. So this is one area where a lot of these innovative medicines are not available in India. And so companies have a big role to play in that. The second area is vaccination, like you said. So MQ is working on its mRNA vaccine, similar to Moderna and Pfizer. We're expecting approval fairly quickly. But that same technology can be used for, the mRNA platform can be used for oncology, can be used for rabies vaccine, Zika virus, a lot of areas. So there is already a lot of innovation happening, not just at our company, but a lot of companies. I think the area we really need to solve for in terms of innovation. So I was talking to you when we were earlier, in the office, that what has been most disappointing to me is how telemedicine hasn't taken off. So 2 years back when they announced the telemedicine rules, I thought this was going to be the magic pill for India, because a lot of patients in the interiors who miss out on early awareness and diagnosis would now, through technology, get the best of healthcare sitting in the metros. It would solve for the patient-doctor ratio. It would solve for the nurse-patient ratio, but it's not taken off. Now, there can be a whole lecture on why it's not taken off, but the point is, can we do something about that? One of the devices I invested in Shark Tank, it's a home ECG device. There's so much happening in the ECG space where you need an expert in a metro to read the ECG. But can you have these point of sales home devices that are 5,000 rupees, where then it takes a scan, sends it to an expert, and a lot of these untimely deaths can be avoided. So I'm very excited about that company, right? Can technology play a role in reducing some of our statistics in heart attack? 50% of Indian women are anemic. I'm anemic, I didn't even know about it, because we don't go for our annual checkups. We don't prioritize ourselves. We are so lazy about going for these checkups. I mean, if you really start talking about where the next wave of disruption is going to come, we, like he rightly said, we've not even touched the tip of the iceberg. So innovation is a very broad term. There can be innovation in the drugs. There can be innovation in the services. There could be innovation in patient awareness. Like I said, 50% are anemic, they don't know it. There can be innovation in diagnosis. Like most women don't go for mammogram because it's very uncomfortable. Can you make it more comfortable quicker so that more detection takes place, especially of breast cancer? So there's a lot that can be done in innovation in all these different pillars. And India is at the best spot to take advantage because we have the best brains through wonderful universities, private-public partnership is becoming very rampant, where the private sector is putting in a lot of money. So I think we will see a lot of this innovation coming in the next few years. Sorry, long answer, but it's just a very broad question where a lot can be done and spoken about.
Great. So if I want to connect the dots, what Namita is hinting at, like what happened in fintech, I think we should see the same thing happening in health tech. Like we were so used to go to banks and print our passbook. And if I ask a question in this audience, have you printed your passbook in last 3 years? Yeah, the answer would, have you been to your bank? Yeah, like that. And have you paid to a Pani Puri wala through GPay or so, kind of. Yeah. So I think that needs to happen in health tech, and that's coming. So moving ahead,
If I can say a couple of things of innovation, I think it's...
yes,
I'd
please.
like to give my perspective on it. First and foremost, innovation need not be daunting, right? We need to start with that premise. As entrepreneur, people say, oh, innovation, how can I innovate? Right? It becomes it need not be, because you can build innovation in small steps. Secondly, innovation is not necessarily getting a patent, is not necessarily doing something that others haven't been able to do. Innovation can be as simple as managing and scaling up a process, right? I'll give an example. My previous company called SYMHEALTH, we were one of the pioneers in drug safety. Now, if you know, the entire drug safety business has moved to India, right? 90+% of adverse event management happens through India. We were there, now all the large IT players are there. We did innovation in small bits and pieces, right? My current company, we are at the, what I call at the intersection of labs and biotech and pharma. Right, so don't think of innovation as being something daunting, because you will stop before you start.
So continuing with this thought, question for you is, so normally we look at B2C aspect of the products and services, or when it comes to healthcare, people normally look at patient care, monitoring it, or diagnostics. So can you throw some light on the backstage activity, how biotechnology or biotech is an enabler for bringing all these things for patient care or wellness?
Yeah. So, something close to my heart, and Vishwas talked about the comparison of Boston and Pune, and he's absolutely right. If you look at Cambridge, which is a twin city to Boston, right across the Charles River, Cambridge has the single largest hub of biotechnology in the world. There are 400 biotechnology companies packed in maybe 10 square miles, right? Why is that? It's driven by academia, Harvard and MIT. It's driven by some of the best hospital systems in the world. You have some very world-renowned hospitals right there. It's also driven by government, the NIH funding, all of that. And now it's driven by technology. So Boston is a hub for tech and biotech. Everybody knows about Moderna, right? Because of the mRNA vaccine. If you listen to the CEO of Moderna, one of the things he talks about is they're a tech company first, and then they're a biotech company, right? They were able to deliver a vaccine in warp speed because of their ability to deploy technology. So this ecosystem is very, very critical, and Pune is a hub where this ecosystem can be built. But it requires the right sort of will and the right cooperation to do that.
Yeah. So moving ahead to Vishwas sir. So ecosystem, when the word comes, if you look at people like us, we look at Thai Global, we look at people like Vishwas Mahajan. So how do you think what is the difference between healthcare startups and the startups which are in the periphery for healthcare enablers? And what is the role of ecosystem as such a general entrepreneurial ecosystem, what role entrepreneurial ecosystem can play to have more healthcare startups, more meaningful startups, yeah, where we will move towards more of a wellness than healthcare.
Yeah, the healthcare is about wellness as well as, curing. Anyway, that said, so, it was, as I said, about 3 years ago that we got in front of Dr. Mashilkar and we said, we got to do something. Because, in tech, in TIE, we are like software and technology people, right? So, and we know what works, generally people have figured out. But the key thing that is missing in healthcare startups vis-a-vis other kind of software type startups is, as was pointed out earlier, is the deep domain knowledge. Unless a techie sleeps, eats, and breathes hospital, he or she is not going to know what are the problems they're trying to solve. And if you try to solve a problem from a completely external standpoint, it's not going to get there. So what is needed then? Yeah, you do need tech people, do need doctors, but the way we train doctors, my daughter is being trained as a doctor now, so I see that all the time, they are not at least trained to think other than, understanding the disease and to see what best can be done to, and that's probably what the medical knowledge is all about when they learn. But the point is that if you get a doctor and a techie and somebody with an innovative problem spotting mind, I'm not even saying problem solving mind, problem spotting mind, then you have a winning combination, right? But many of our techies, they like to sit in, their own cubicles and offices and don't want to come and, make themselves, see themselves in hospitals. But there are experiments going on. So for example, as all of you know, Dr. Malpani in Bombay has actually incubating startups in one of these hospitals. I don't know which, one of the South Bombay hospitals. And it's been with some good results. Here, right here, as I was saying, when you say ecosystem, it's actually a very powerful word if it works, right? If it doesn't, then you keep talking about it, but don't get anywhere. So I think we have the great opportunity here, right here in Pune. Why? You look at institutions. Today, I'm sure Ajit knows it and Namita, they are all in their business, but Venture Center is incubating excellent biotech startups right here in Pune. Great work. They're discovering molecules, they're discovering medicines. It's a research thing. Now, when you take a startup, an idea, a group of people that are wanting to solve a problem, the next step is about creating the funding ecosystem or way for them to go forward with their. But one of the things that we've seen in healthcare is that it takes time. Any fundamental innovation will take time for regulatory reasons, but even just to prove, and go through the process. We have a great women entrepreneur right here incubated in NCL Venture Center, for example. Dr. Parul Ganchu, who runs Ahamune, she actually has developed, an ointment for, I forget the word for that, it's white skin spots. Okay. For example, right? Award winning, she won a TIE Global Award, right, for doing this right here in Pune. So there are opportunities for us to do that. But an ecosystem play needs a lot of selfless, coordination and connecting the dots. Now that becomes a challenge unless it is powered by perhaps somebody like Symbiosis. That's the idea that, because it actually requires a few people to put their heads down and just keep connecting the dots. This is what happened in IT. Pune was not an IT city, never. How did it become the second largest IT city in India? Exactly that happened. This happened 20 years ago. Can this happen again? MCure is right here. Lupin is here. NCL is here. Center for Bioinformatics is here. Lots of technology colleges are there. Symbiosis is here. Now, the only thing I would urge here is that we need an anchor to play the ecosystem game. In case of IT, in Pune, MCCI played the anchor. And we were witness to that. We are beneficiaries of it. And because IT took off in Pune, the real estate sector took off. And so many other things took off. And this is a repeatable process that can happen for bio and health tech. In Bangalore, some of it is happening, I would say. Bangalore has certainly taken a lead over Pune. I mean, there is no doubt about it. CM, it's an institution. It's connecting many, many dots in the ecosystem with complete Government of India funding. They have invested literally millions in getting the right kind of equipment together at one place. So anybody doing experimentation, research, development doesn't have to spend or has access to that. And then converting that idea. Healthcare is one place where converting an idea into a product has the most human value. Forget about the IT. I mean, I've been an IT guy and many of us have been. I mean, we do really low-end stuff, to be honest with you. Healthcare is where the real action is, where the real science get converted into real applications that save lives. Now, is there enough money going there to healthcare? Question mark. Do healthcare, at least I'm talking about Pune and India. Ajit, you're a visionary, so I'm not talking about you. But what I'm saying is that I have found that healthcare entrepreneurs don't pitch as well as they could. Now, there are so many things of the ecosystem, but the point is, I think ecosystem needs a reboot. We can talk ad nauseum about Pune wanting to be Boston. It has the potential, but converting that potential to kinetic energy is the challenge behind all of us.
So, Ajit ji, so these network effects can be created in Pune, and we have a healthcare professionals sitting here in audience. What is your advice for these healthcare professionals? What is the small step they should take? Because see, everyone needs handholding. Suppose somebody comes with an idea, he looks at, okay, this will require lab, technology, funds. So what is your advice?
Yeah, my advice to first-time entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs is you won't know until you try, right? If you keep analyzing things, you will never try it. If you try it, if you fail, I can guarantee you will be a far better individual for the industry if you have not tried. Entrepreneurship is something that has to come from within, and not everybody has to be an entrepreneur either. You can make an impact as a professional in the industry as well. Identify opportunities, identify advantages that India offers. What are the advantages India offers? Scale. Right? We, in the tech industry often, in the science industry, we all talk about cost. It's not cost. It's the ability to scale, which is more important than the cost. Because if we look at, particularly in the B2B space, what do customers want? They want you to deliver. You to deliver on time. And if you deliver on time, they want you to do more of it. And if you are unable to scale, it's a hard situation. The other advantage India has is the interdisciplinary talent. One disadvantage we have as a culture or as sort of our academic upbringing is we are not good storytellers, right? And we need to learn to be good storytellers. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to learn to be a good storyteller. You need to learn to be an evangelist. And we're not good at that. So if that's one area where I think we lack, but I think we, to a large extent, that's a space we need to catch up.
So it's organically moving to you. So there should be one question on Shark Tank experience. Yeah. So what normally investors look at? So this is very common question, what normally investors look at. But what is that actually turns that no into yes? Yeah, we should invest. Apart from, okay, investors take equity and all that, I think everybody is aware. But what is that you will see also. So I'm extending the question. Suppose there are healthcare startups, students coming up with a proof of concept and all. What is that you would like to see? Then you'll say, yeah, I'm game for it.
So, most of the investments, I saw 200 pitches at Shark Tank. And most of the pitches, they were either very low revenue or pre-revenue. So you don't really have a lot of data based on which you'll make your decision, right? So ultimately, you're betting on the person. So when we would look at the founder, there's certain things we look at. Number one, that passion should come through. When that person is living, breathing their venture, their body language, their eyes, the way they speak, that passion comes through. So do you have that fire in your belly? Second, like, Ajit rightly said, failures is a very big part of your, any entrepreneur's journey. Do they have that grit and resilience to make it? So we'd always ask them a question around that. How did they come up with their idea? Is it a deep-rooted personal problem that they saw in their lives, around them? What is the journey? What is the story? And for me, there were two more metrics. Maybe it's my chartered accountancy background, but there were two metrics that were very important. One is, how well do you know your numbers? If you're not obsessed with your customer, if you don't know your business in and out, and you can't answer my basic questions like SKUs and shelf life and competition and pricing and how big is the TAM, and if this is not memorized, or how are you different than the competition, if you can't give the answer and you fumble, that means you're not hands-on. So for me, knowing the numbers was very important. And the second thing is at least some amount of revenue. So I wouldn't invest in pre-revenue just because if there's some amount of revenue, you're able to see that this founder has gauged the product market fit and has got those customer insights to then pivot or scale to the required extent. So these parameters for me and for all the sharks, I would say, are the basics that you look for when you look at a pitch. I mean, it's 3 o'clock already, I can go on and on, but these are basics that are very important for that pitch, in that 3-minute pitch, elevator pitch to come across.
So I think that passion and storytelling, I think that becomes very important. I guess youngsters here, or even we have people like who are from research background, and so they are coming to Symbiosis and they're asking, can we incubate this startup? Yeah, I think, and this is very important. We look at that passion. Yeah, so due to paucity of time, I think I'll open the floor for a few questions, 2 or 3 questions with the audience. Can we get support for the mic, please? Yeah, a girl there raising a hand. Yeah. So it's first come first, so like you have to say loud.
Good afternoon all. My question is to Namita ma'am. I am Shark Tank lover and I just love your that line कि नहीं है. So I am out. But I always love your one passion towards the woman empowerment. So whatever you are doing, it's really commendable, ma'am. Would like to be like you. My question is, currently D2C is going on. As a doctor and as a hospital administrator, I'm working like I'm selling my business in hospital industries also. Most of the things are there where we need to connect with the customer. Somehow it is the bitter fact that yes, throughout the country or throughout the world, after COVID, we are looking forward for the business. So if we want to go ahead with स्वार्थ से परमार्थ, like patient care services भी देनी है, quality improvement भी करनी है, but with low revenue and high quality services. So lots of MCure products are also, like I'm working for Wockhardt hospitals basically. So we have our pharma industries also. Can you see that potential towards the people that they can understand our D2C services? Because like Google University से सब लोग अभी समझ रहे हैं चीज़ों को. So how it is helpful to go ahead and how can we convince the people for the all startups?
So I think regardless of what the product is, because I don't think I've entirely understood what exactly it is that you have in mind.
Exact question is that whatever...
Like what is your business?
See, we are working for hospital administration. Like we are giving the services like hospital industries and also with the pharma. Like any product, like any antibiotic, if we are asking to
And what
say,
is your question with regard to this? How to
like
make
how
people
to
understand
yes,
and invest?
yes.
So firstly, you know, like we all said here, the startup ecosystem now is very sophisticated. There are a lot of funds that look at pre-series A. So what pre-series A means, they're very, very early stage startups like yours with very low revenue or no revenue. And there are a lot of startups that have healthcare experts as part of those startups who have the understanding of the space to understand what you're trying to do. So my one request to all entrepreneurs, including women entrepreneurs, is just go and meet all these people. Make use of your networks to get the introductions. Pitch, 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 pitch. Keep mastering your pitch. And there's enough people out there where if your TAM is good, if your service is good, if it's going to scale, you will get the investment.
Okay, ma'am.
So I think you have to just go and find all those funds and keep pitching to them.
Okay,
There's
thank
enough out there. I'm sure you'll agree. Even 5 years back, the system wasn't sophisticated enough to fund complicated ventures, which were not easy to understand like a simple product. You know, yours is more complex. But now it's there. You have to make more of an effort to put yourself out there. And that's where the women's statistics, I'm going to take 30 seconds to say that because like you rightly said, that's a passion of mine. Workforce women participation is going from 37 to 27 to currently 19%. Only 2.3% of female-led ventures globally got funded. I mean, our statistics are just awful. And where women's health is concerned, World Economic Forum surveyed 156 countries, we are bottom 2. India ranked 155. So even if you pick just women's health as an area, there's so much that you can do because we're like right here at the bottom. So imagine how much more you can scale. But so just find a good idea and then go pitch, 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 pitch. That's the solution.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
No, I would just also add, that even you go to pitch for investment, there are organizations that will validate your idea. As long as you're open to, pivoting, open to criticism, open to frank, and we saw a lot of that on Shark Tank as well. You should be okay. So, please reach out, and even before you go to the investors, you will get advice on how best to go and pitch. Your own strength of being able to tell that story is important, but also some of the key metrics that she talked about. Is your market large enough? Yeah, so the point is, whatever be the business model, right? I mean, somebody has to pay for it, right? So that's where your business model innovation is going to come into play, right? So, I mean, this is not a time to talk about that, but don't be constrained. And, Namita, this is another thing that we find. We meet, I mean, you met too many entrepreneurs, but we also meet a few entrepreneurs. One of the first things they say is, we need money. Without money, everything. And actually, believe it or not, that's normally not the first or the most important bottleneck that entrepreneurs have. Okay, so think about that aspect as well, yeah?
I just want to add two things because I've raised a good amount of money from angels, from VCs, from private equity, and both Namita and Vishwas gave you a lot of sort of ideas of how to do that. But two things. Number one, it's a little bit of a secret, right? The VC and the investor community has a herd mentality, right? So you have to create that competition among them. If they think the train is leaving the station, you have a greater chance of raising that money unless they think, there's no such concept as I don't want to write a check or nobody's writing a check, then somebody else will come to your rescue. There's no such thing. Either everybody wants to give you money or nobody wants to give you money. It's what I call a feast or famine kind of a mentality, right? So that's a little secret. You as an entrepreneur have to create that urgency. And if your idea is good, and this is what if your idea is good enough, there is no guarantee you will get the money unless you create that urgency.
Great. So thanks, sir, for making my job easy. Like normally in my inbox, normally there is a mail every day that I'm not interested in incubation, but we have an idea and we need some funds. So thanks for making it. And just to add one more point regarding women entrepreneurs. So I've been pursuing this research from last 4 years, women entrepreneurs in India. And one small data point I would like to share with everyone, like there is a woman entrepreneur standing in front of sharks or investors and with X startup, with X product, say, and quoting for, like, say, 30 crores investment. Normally, the investors look at, and there is a male entrepreneur who is quoting 30 crores. Yeah, I think you might have seen this, their experience. Normally, people will say, you are asking too much. To the woman, they will say, you're asking for too much. Same startup, same product, if a male goes there, they say, okay, fine. So all metrics is common, but they will say to the woman, it's too much. So we pursued this research across India, and we got this data. That's normally, if somebody is asking for an idea in student level or POC level startup, 10 lakhs, if it's a girl student, woman, they say it's too much. So that's also there. So we need to also understand like how ecosystem also looks at it. Of course, there are solutions. You need to meet people like Vishwas Mahajan sir, yeah, for getting more clues on it. Yeah. So anybody else? Any questions for the panel? Yes, please. Yes, one last question. Yeah.
Being symbiotic. Have you, I don't know if you've noticed, like you said that there are very less healthcare startups. You named Pristine. I think most of the doctors are against Pristine right now. Okay, I am one of them. So why is it that we can't be symbiotic together, technology and doctors? Because when I'm sitting in my OPD and some person comes who is asking very irrelevant question, the first thing I ask them, are you IT guy? So what I want to say is, why is it like that? Why can't we just be symbiotic? We have some ground knowledge. We know some ground rules about healthcare. You are the tech guys. Why can't you have some innovations kind of thing that we all sit together and find something which will be helpful for the doctors as well as the patients? I mean, I'd really like to know that.
I think that's $1 billion question. I agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of collaboration that can happen. And in fact, when I started our talk, that's the first thing I said, that my biggest frustration is that there are only two healthcare companies in the unicorn list, right? So that's where, like he rightly said, that's where the potential is, that you're going to see a lot of collaboration between healthcare professionals like you and technology. And once that collaboration comes, you'll see a lot more tech companies becoming unicorns. So why it's not there is the $1 billion question.
I'm not asking about that. Like Pristine Healthcare is not taking any inputs from doctors. It's a purely tech company, a business model, and that's it. They are not doing anything good for either patients or doctors. It's a nice business model. It is great business model. No real estate investment, nothing, but you are earning quite a lot. I mean, it's brilliant, whoever thought about it.
So your point is, why are startups or tech guys not asking doctors and collaborating with doctors?
Yes, that's
So
what
that's what I'm trying to say. You're going to see more of that coming in, because ultimately customer obsession is key, right? Yeah. Expertise is key. Yeah. And who knows the customers better, and who has the expertise better than the doctors? So I think you'll see a lot of, that's the reason why there aren't enough
So why
health
don't you
companies.
have
You will see a lot more of that.
I'm sorry I heard about this Shark Tank for the first time.
No, I'll tell you, one of the companies I invested in, the renal project for dialysis. Yeah. That gentleman, Shashank, is working with doctors. I mean, how is he going to give cheaper dialysis unless he doesn't tie up with the right nephrologist in the right centers? So I invested in him for exactly the reason you're saying, because I saw a man who is trying to collaborate with doctors and dialysis centers to reach the interiors of India and solve a dialysis problem at affordable price. So you'll see more Shashanks coming up in future years who believe in this collaboration model. Why you're not seeing it so far, I don't know, but I hope we'll see more of it.
No, basically what I'm saying is I think more doctors need to come up with the ideas like these.
I think collaboration is a key, because that's why you have co-founders. You can't be a
so
medical expert and a tech expert and a marketing expert and an operations expert. So you need co-founders probably who are doctors.
Yeah, I think that is the point. You know, doctors have a healthy, healthy respect for their own knowledge and the amount of work they have done to achieve what they have done. But they find the techies that come on and, they have no clue to what you are going through, right? So unless we have doctors who become entrepreneurs, that would be the best thing to do. But that's not scalable. So a collaboration ecosystem is the way to go. Is the way to go. And I think the blame also lies in techies because they sit in some ivory towers. If they come and spend time with you in your OPD, understand your challenges, and think of solutions for that, they are more likely to be successful. And you look at the examples that we just heard, wherever technology has collaborated deeply with understanding the real world medical service delivery problems, whether it is in any space, whether it is in insurance, we've got beautiful startups doing some simple thing. You won't believe, I mean, this is not the time and place to do that, but so many simple these people do, and they really create value for everybody around the ecosystem. So I think it's the collaboration is the key.
So if I can just say, because we deal with a lot of doctors, but in a very different scenario. We deal with doctors in pharma and biotech companies. These are clinicians. So they are conditioned to the notion of a business. They are conditioned to a notion of, institutional technology. When you deal with individual doctors, the thought processes are so fragmented, and every doctor has their own, and it becomes hard for the entrepreneur themselves than to deal with individual fragmented doctors. So I just wanted to separate out the two types of doctors. Pharma and biotech has a huge number of clinicians, a huge number of doctors. And tech companies in the B2B space never has had problems dealing with doctors in the pharma and biotech space. But it's more on the patient side and more on the what I call the individual fragmented side. I don't have an answer for that. All I know is the problem lies on both sides and it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, basically because what I want to say is that if you think about business as well as humanitarian things, like a doctor may think more about their patients than business, and then they need someone to think about business. And then the two separate goals, like you're saying fragmented, maybe you're right. I may have something, okay, like she said, female health, I may want to go into that quite a lot, but I may not have, because I'm not taught business, na? So I may need someone to actually tell us how actually to go about it so that we don't even charge the patient too much and we achieve our goal for human health.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's what I want to say.
So there is no answer to it, but it's very noble intention, I guess. But we can actually stop on this promise instead of answer that yes, we can build a platform like an ecosystem for healthcare, because to pursue a pilot for techie in healthcare, it's very tough. Means hospitals, we have our own hospital, I know. Yeah, so Symbiosis is having its own hospital. But when an engineering college student or an AI researcher wants to pursue a pilot, of course you have to follow all the legal rules and the regulatory norms and then hospital norms and all that. So it's that kind of platform where doctors from pharma, biotech and doctors who are actually practitioners should come together, plus techies. I think we can end on this note, that we can end with a promise that we should build such ecosystem. And I think Symbiosis is trying to build this kind of ecosystem, and very soon we will see a couple of things happening with all blessings from all our esteemed panelists here. And thank you so much for sparing time. And I think with the paucity of time, we'll stop it here.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session. Now I request Professor Yogesh Brahmankar to felicitate the panelists for the session. So please. I request ma'am to kindly join for a group photograph.